The Flint water crisis, I've been down there 7 times in the last year. It is still a crisis, as I've reported, as the scientist I work with has reported. The lead numbers that they're reporting are getting better, are not exactly what they would seem. The testing is very suspect. Where they are testing in the home is very suspect. What homes and the amount of homes they're testing is very suspect. And whether they are testing at the meter outside and whether they're testing for bacteria, all very suspect. And as we've seen in East Chicago and Flint, well, in Flint, the Department of Environmental Quality for a year said there's nothing wrong with your water. In East Chicago, when I was there in August of last year, an EPA official on camera told me this is not a water issue. 4 months later, it was revealed there's lead in the water. So whether it's intentional or not, you cannot just trust what the EPA and what the environmental departments on the state level tell you, because it's not an exact science. Frankly, I don't think their testing is fantastic. I don't think it's thorough. I don't know if they're actually looking all the way through for exactly the full extent of the numbers. You can't find what you're not looking for. So when they're only testing homes on cold water, cold sink water, you're going to find the lowest numbers of lead as opposed to the whole home, hot water heater, hot water out of the sink, shower water, and water coming at the meter. They are not doing that in all the homes. And also, I found out recently, they're not even coming in and testing it themselves. In a lot of cases, they're sending water bottles for residents to test it. So we don't know, margin of error there. But, alas, Attorney General Bill Schuette announced 5 involuntary manslaughter charges today. I will say this, I do find it very interesting that Schuette, the state attorney general, who is highly rumored to be running for governor, from what I hear has some corruption issues of his own that I'm looking into, but I can't report anything now. He was confronted by residents and activists yesterday at the Capitol. Resident Melissa Mays, an activist who I've interviewed many times, you've seen her on TYT Politics, other activists were with Melissa, confronted State Attorney General Bill Schuette, who basically gave them lip service and ran away. He wants to run for governor. Interestingly enough, he announced 5 charges of manslaughter the next day. But anyway, let me read you the story and tell you what I think. Michigan Attorney General Bill Schuette has charged 5 water officials, including a member of Governor Rick Snyder's cabinet and a former emergency manager, with manslaughter related to their alleged failure to act during the Flint water crisis. Somebody in Rick Snyder's cabinet is the closest charge we've ever had to Governor Snyder. So although I question the Attorney General's motives, I question the timing, credit where credit is due, he is moving his way up. Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Director Nick Lyon, former Flint Emergency Manager Darnell Early, former City of Flint Water Department Manager Howard Croft, Michigan Department of Environmental Quality's Drinking Water Chief Lyanne Schechter-Smith, and former District Supervisor Stephen Bush will all face involuntary manslaughter charges related to their alleged failure to act in the Flint water crisis. Involuntary manslaughter is a felony punishable by up to 15 years in prison and or a $7,500 fine. The manslaughter charges are connected to the death of Robert Skidmore, who died December 13, 2015, due to the area's Legionnaire's disease outbreak. The outbreak that the EPA and Department of Environmental Quality there have been poo-pooing to Flint residents for years. Schuette held a press conference today where he announced these things. So there's several things with that. Number one, Bill Schuette, the state attorney general, has charged many people, and this adds 5. I am not going to pretend that I know the intricacies of how these people were involved, but I do know that people in Rick Snyder's cabinet were involved. So the fact that a Health and Human Services director who is in Rick Snyder's cabinet is being charged is a very good step in the right direction. However, it is not enough. It is not enough. Number one, in addition to the state attorney general charging people, there needs to be some action and investigation on changing the pipes now. As I reported, there is plenty plenty of workers to change the pipes and get the pipes changed in as little as a year and maybe a few months. But the lawsuit and what the state has agreed to is saying that they will replace pipes in 3 years, by 2020. That's too long. They've waited enough, the residents. Secondly, they hired a privatized company to change the pipes, and as I reported in my last trip in Flint, that privatized company is already fucking up people's homes and fucking up people's pipes. So the fact that you're charging people is great, but you got to do two things at once. And by the way, I'm sweating because the air conditioning in my apartment is broken. And it's going to take 5 to 7 days for them to send me a new one. So, New York City, pay out of your ass and burn. So, the bottom line is, Schuette charged these people. Darnell Early was one of the emergency managers involved in the disastrous decision to switch the water. He should be charged. He should face prison. Because as I've reported over and over again, these were not decisions made for the people. These were decisions made for politicians and privatization of a water pipeline. They switched the pipelines in order to move over to a privatized water pipeline. However, the fact that there have been no charges against Governor Rick Snyder, the fact that there have been no charges against Genesee County Drain Commissioner Jeff Wright, who is also the CEO of the Carigandi Water Authority. So in Flint and in Michigan, apparently you could be the CEO of a privatized water pipeline, and make no mistake, they say it's a municipal water pipeline. It is not a municipal water pipeline. It is a privatized water pipeline. Apparently you could be the CEO of that, also an elected official that's in charge of the water system. How does that work? Lena makes a good point. Darnell Early also destroyed Detroit schools. Also in Michigan, if you destroy Flint's water system as an emergency manager, you're then appointed to be an emergency manager in Detroit school system. It's unbelievable, the corruption and idiocy. So, no charges so far for Rick Snyder, who, by the way, won't release any of his emails before 2014. His emails before 2014 would probably show what he was saying, who he was talking to, and the thought process behind switching from Detroit's water system to the Flint River. But he won't release those emails. And because Michigan has some of the least transparent freedom of information laws, I can't get my hands on it. Other reporters can't get their hands on it. So, Rick Snyder's hiding something, folks. He's also charging the taxpayers of Michigan and Flint millions of dollars. They're paying for his criminal defense fund. American justice. Taxpayers pay for the corrupt governor's criminal defense fund. So, Rick Snyder should be charged. Because if he's not, it gives other leaders, other political leaders, whether you're the governor or the mailman or whatever, other leaders a get-out-of-jail-free card when they are grossly negligent or worse. I'm not just saying this because I don't like Rick Snyder or disagree with his politics. He was the governor. He was part of this decision. He has done nothing for the people since. He was part of the group who got warnings from the federal EPA that you need to add anti-corrosives to this body of water. And he played dumb after the fact. Well, I didn't know. I trusted the people under me. Yeah, well, Chris Christie also didn't know about Bridgegate, right? Give me a fucking break. He didn't know. If you believe that, I got a New Jersey bridge to sell you. And if you don't know, Jeff Wright, Flint is part of Genesee County. Jeff Wright is the drain commissioner for Genesee County. He has pushed this privatized pipeline, the Carigandi Water Authority, dating back to the early 2000s. He's been pushing this. And he helped ram this through. And frankly, he took a lot of shady contracts as part of the Carigandi Water Authority, abusing his dual position as CEO of a privatized water system and an elected official. So he needs to be charged. And he's also an FBI informant. Additional information. And you know what I find very, very interesting? I find it very, very interesting that the onion is starting to peel, folks. The onion is starting to peel. So, as you saw, I did a video earlier on, or last week, calling out EPA-funded scientist Mark Edwards. Mark Edwards is credited as being one of the first people to find out the problem with the Flint drinking water. Mark Edwards was, credited with all sorts of things pertaining to Flint, but he has fallen out of favor with residents of Flint and many people from the people I speak with, besides being not the nicest person and kind of a bullier and somebody who harasses residents, also being a little deceptive. And his tone has dramatically changed since he got a whole lot of grants from the EPA, the state of Michigan, and elsewhere. Well, Mark Edwards did a blog post about me in May that was very deceptive. Check out the videos where I explained what he did on youtube.com/tytpolitics, where he took videos out of order and out of sequence and out of context and tried to make me look stupid. But in the text on those videos, he also made suggestions that I and independent investigator Scott Smith, who goes into Flint and East Chicago and elsewhere to test water, are creating a bacteria fear that doesn't exist, and we're creating bacteria concerns out of thin air. Well, somebody who works with Mark Edwards, just said on Facebook that they're doing a bacteria study in Flint this summer. So myself, Scott Smith, are inventing bacteria fears. The residents are inventing bacteria fears. They're reporting bacteria in their water. Scott Smith is finding bacteria in their water, sending the water to an EPA-accredited lab, which is finding bacteria in the water. Mark Edwards tells me, you're crazy. Oh, this hack scientist, Jordan, trying to stoke people's fears about bacteria in the water. But now all of a sudden, he's doing bacteria tests. Why are you doing that, Mark? Why are you testing for bacteria if there's no concern? Meanwhile, the EPA and the state of Michigan tell Flint residents, no problem, drink water with a filter, a flimsy filter that goes bad pretty quickly and does not stop 100% of the lead, and certainly does not stop bacteria. And residents that are smarter and in the know have not been drinking water with a filter and have been drinking bottled water. So you have corruption, ineptitude, and deception from Standing Rock to Flint. And the Democratic Party is huffing and puffing. Our democracy is under attack. No, our democracy has been under attack probably since the late 70s, early 80s, and it got accelerated in the last, I'd say, 10 years. With people getting brutalized in North Dakota for exercising the First Amendment, people getting poisoned in Flint, then getting arrested for voicing concern, as I've reported. And I love these armchair people who tweet out, these Johnny-come-latelys who haven't reported on Flint at all for 2 years. All of a sudden, they're tweeting about it and this and that when this is out. But when it wasn't in the news, they didn't give a damn about the Flint residents. Right? But you guys care. The people that watch me, the people that support me, the people that watch TYT Politics, you want real news. You don't want me to just report on Trump's tweet all day. You don't want me to report on the Russian boogeyman all day. You want me to report on, life or death kind of things like water poisoning, gentrification efforts that could kill you. So it's a credit to you that these things are happening, because don't make no mistake about it. The fact that my journalism, but your viewership, and then activism on the ground mixed with that viewership is putting pressure on public officials to bring charges. They're all corrupt. Don't think that this state attorney general is bringing charges just because he thinks they deserve them. That would be like a legal system and democracy. I don't trust that. Neither should you. I'll have more on these manslaughter charges. I'll talk to residents as soon as I can. I'm going to be juggling a lot of things because I'm traveling tomorrow to North Carolina. Go to my Facebook page where I put a link into the story. There's a chemical called Gen X, which has been found in Cape Fear, which is in southern North Carolina, about an hour out of Wilmington, North Carolina. And now there is concern at whether people's drinking water is safe, whether people are going to get sick. And of course the EPA, state officials saying, no problem. The companies saying, no problem. We've seen this movie before in Flint. We've seen this movie before in East Chicago. Now it's playing out in North Carolina, playing out in Pittsburgh has a drinking problem, Florida has a drinking problem, California has a drinking problem, New York City has drinking problems. Long Island has drinking problems. Name your place. Water contamination problems. Zero coverage in the corporate media. Zero. Which, by the way, I hope you're checking out my book, Corporate Con Job. I have a Patreon page. I'll post it on the my Facebook page right after this. Corporate Con Job. I detail my experience covering Bernie's campaign, Trump, Clinton, Standing Rock, Flint, East Chicago, and a lot more. I give you behind-the-scenes info you wouldn't know, as well as naming names. Jake Tapper, Joy Reid, Joan Walsh, Chris Matthews, and on and I go. And I explain why the corporate media buries these stories. Not only the financial, but the moral, and a call to action. So I'd appreciate you checking out my Patreon page where you can download the links there too. This is a good day. It's a good day, this news from Standing Rock. It's a good day, this news from Flint. We need more good days like this. We need to see charges brought against Rick Snyder, and I am going to keep reporting on that till I'm dead. I can't promise it will happen, but I will report on it. And I will keep reporting on Standing Rock. We're not always going to have victories in the war, but sometimes you get little glimmers of hope. Thank you for watching. Share this video, youtube.com/TYTPolitics. Head over to my personal Facebook page after this. I'll post the Patreon link for my book. Peace out.